Hello, everyone, and welcome. Today, I want to share something close to my heart: the paradoxes of leadership in the non-profit sector. Leading this space is unlike any other kind of leadership. It asks us to be deeply compassionate and mission driven, while also being tough, strategic, and financially disciplined. I first encountered these paradoxes when I served as both as a volunteer and later as a treasurer in a non-profit organizations. I was inspired but also challenged by the reality I witnesses. Those experiences shaped the way I think about leadership, and I hope to bring you some of those reflections in the next few minutes. Nonprofits play a vital role in society. They respond to needs that governments and markets often overlook, and they bring people together around shared values. But at the same time, nonprofit leadership is full of paradoxes. Leaders are called to be compassionate, but also of making hard, sometimes unpopular decisions. They serve the public, yet they must also ensure the organizations remain financially sustainable. These tensions are not flaws, they are features of the sector, and they shape how leaders must think, act, and grow every day. In my experience, there are four key challenges that appear again and again in nonprofit leadership. The first is governance, and in governance without clarity. The second is financially fragility. The third is complex team dynamics. And the fourth is balancing passion with reality. There are many more challenges, as you can think, of course, but these four stand out because they cut across every type of organization, whether large or small, local or international. Let's see them. Let's start with governance. Nonprofit boards are usually made up of volunteers. They bring diversity, experience, and goodwill, which is invaluable. But there is a risk when accountability is not clear. Responsibilities then can be blurred. In practice, this can mean delayed decisions, weak strategies, and a lack of ownership. I've seen boards where everyone wanted to help, but no one felt empowered to lead. Good governance is not just about rules, it's about clarity, accountability, and the courage to take decisions that move the organization forward. The second challenge is financial fragility. Many nonprofits rely heavily on grants and donations. This creates an unstable foundation. If one donor withdraws, and I saw it, the entire organization can be thrown into crisis overnight. I've seen projects shut down not because they lack impact, but simply because funding dried up. Passion drives people to join nonprofits, but passion alone doesn't pay salaries, rent, or program costs. Sustainability requires diversified funding streams, long-term planning, and sometimes even entrepreneurial thinking to ensure the mission can continue. The third challenge is team dynamics. Nonprofit teams are often made up of a mix of employees, volunteers, and consultants. Each group comes with different motivations, levels of commitment, and expectations. Some are driven by personal passion, others by professional goals, and still others by a sense of civic duty. Balancing all of this can be incredibly complex. That's why nonprofit leaders need to be adaptable and sensitive. They must know when to inspire, when to mediate, and when to set clear boundaries so that everyone works in harmony toward the mission. The fourth challenge is balancing passion with reality. Passion is what drives people to join and serve. It's the energy behind every nonprofit mission. But passion without structure leads to burnout. I've seen volunteers and staff members exhausted themselves because they couldn't say no or because systems were not in place to support them. In the other end, too much focus on administration, on rules, reports, and procedures can make people forget why they came in the first place. Leadership here is about balance, protecting passion with structure while never letting bureaucracy kill the mission. But here is a paradox: the very challenges that make nonprofit leadership difficult also open incredible opportunities. Strengthening governance can Strengthening governance can transform boards from passive bodies into strategic leaders. Experimenting with new service models can spark social innovation. Cross-sector partnerships can multiply impact, reaching communities in ways no single organization could achieve alone. By investing in leadership development, nonprofits can prepare the next generation of leaders, making the sector stronger and more resilient. And by adopting modern financial tools, leaders can turn fragility into sustainability. Nonprofits are in many ways laboratories of innovation, places where bold ideas can meet real human needs. So, what lesson can we take from these paradoxes? First, vision without governance is fragile. A dream without a structure will not last. Second, governance without passion is lifeless. Rules alone will not inspire people to act. And third, leaders themselves grow through the mission. The act of leading in this space doesn't just transform organizations, it transforms the leaders themselves. That, I think, is one of the greatest gifts of nonprofit leadership. Nonprofit leadership is both demanding and transformative. It stretches us, it challenges us, and it requires us to grow constantly. When we support others, we ourselves are transformed. Even financial constraints, when faced with creativity, can lead to new forms of innovation. So I'd like to end with a question for you. What paradoxes have you observed in nonprofit leadership? What tensions, what challenges have shaped your own journey? Thank you for listening, and I look forward to continuing this conversation. As we close, I'd like to leave you with this thought: leading in the nonprofit world is not about having all the answers, but is about learning to live with paradox. It's about holding compassion in one hand and tough choices in the other, and finding the courage to move forward anyway. If this message resonated with you, I invite you to share your own reflections in the comments. What paradoxes have you experienced in your own leadership journey, whether in nonprofits, in business, or even in your community life? And if you like to explore these ideas further, you can find more reflections and resources on my two websites. I put on the screen the references of these two websites. Thank you for watching, and until next time, keep leading with both heart and courage.